What's going on, Tamika? What's going on, Brenda? All right, beautiful. Shirley, Regina, what's good? What's good? What's going on with you already know? What's going on, Tamika? What's going on, Brenda? All right, cool. Welcome everybody to another week of the spiritual experience. I'm so happy to be here. Oh my goodness. How many of you were with us yesterday for the Year of Freedom Life Visioning and Goal Setting session? How many of you were with us? It was absolutely amazing. Oh my goodness. I taught for 6 hours to general admission, 7 hours to VIP. VIP session was lit. We had tons of people there as well. I'm just still in gratitude for the divine download that God gave me to change our goal setting from ego-based goals to godly goals, and sharing that framework with folks and helping us set goals for 2025 from a completely different standpoint. You can't pour new wine into old wineskins or else they will burst. And we made sure that we were not trying to use old frameworks for success in this new world, in this new kingdom that we are creating. And so extreme gratitude for my obedience to hear that message, for my connection to God to hear that message, my obedience to deliver on it, and for the impact that it had on so many people. We had over 400 people there yesterday going through that process with us. It was absolutely amazing. If you missed it, I encourage you to go get the replay. I encourage you to go get the replay. I'm gonna put that in chat. Get the replay. Get the replay and the workbook from yesterday at yearoffreedom.com/thanks. So that is available. So I'm putting that in chat. Go get it there. For those of you who are joining us on YouTube, you can join us in Zoom. Join us in Zoom at uh, that is the spiritualexperience.com/Zoom. You can join us there. And if you would also like the replay from yesterday, you can go grab that at yearfreedom.com/thanks. All right. So I'm going to pin that on YouTube and we are good to go. So today is a little bit different. On first and third Sundays, we do Christ-like conversations. Our first Christ-like conversation was on the Father, and we did a word study on the Father. Our second Christ-like conversation was on heaven, and we looked at how Yeshua describes heaven for us to get a better grasp of what heaven is. And then on the second Sunday of the month, we do Wealth in the Word. That's where I teach from Rich and Righteous. Had a powerful teaching on the woman with the empty vessels. And then on fourth Sundays, we broke out into Brothers in the Bible and Sisters in the Scripture, and we explored what it means to be a man of God, what it means to be a woman of God. Sisters in Scriptures, led by Whitney, we're going over all the women in the Bible that and their wisdom that we can draw from their lives and their stories. They oftentimes get overlooked. And Brothers in the Bible, we actually went through Proverbs chapter 1, extracting the wisdom from King Solomon, one of the wisest men to ever walk the face of the earth. And as he's giving this wisdom to his son. So that is our typical framework. On fifth Sundays, there are about 5 months with 5 Sundays. And so on fifth Sundays in 2025, these will typically be community service projects. Okay. So we'll be doing national community service projects, and we're going to explore what those possibilities could be for us today. Today is a little bit different than normal. Today, we are going to be doing our annual visioning together. You get to be part of the visioning process as we create the spiritual experience together. And so I'm excited to have you here to join in on that. So I will be asking you to unmute yourself, come on camera, share what you want this space to be. We are here to meet your spiritual needs. Of course, I was the initiator of the vision, but the vision is not it's not in stone. It is for us to create together. And as we talked about yesterday, people without a vision will perish. And so we are going to create that vision together. And the most powerful visions are visions that multiple people hold, not just one person. The most powerful visions are the vision that multiple people hold. So today we're going to go through the annual visioning process. It's not going to be to the extent that we did for our personal lives yesterday. We're going to be a lot shorter. I have questions, some conversation questions for us to explore together as we co-create this space. And that's what our focus is going to be today. All right. And so let me share my screen. Let me share my screen 1 second. Here it is. Boom. All right. You should be able to see my screen now. Please confirm that you can see my screen in chat. We good to go? Beautiful. And it's so good to see familiar names. You know, I have 3 tribes. I have a multifamily movement. I have Rich and Righteous tribe. And then, of course, I have the spiritual experience. And so it's so beautiful to see the same names from yesterday, the same names in the multifamily movement. Ultimately, I think we are going to become one. But with the 3 communities being separate, even though in my mind they are all one, it allows people to plug in where they feel comfortable. And that is perfectly fine. You know, we have the multifamily movement, which is specifically about you creating and stepping into the abundance that is your birthright in the financial realm. Of course, abundance transcends money, but stepping into that in the financial realm of your life. Then we have Rich and Righteous, which is like the bridge as we explore what it means to be rich in the financial realm, prosperous, as well as righteous. And then, of course, we have the spiritual experience, which is teaching us how to live as righteous lives as possible, how to live as Christ-like lives as possible. So all of them are connected in my mind, and some of you are part of all those communities, and some of you are just part of the individual ones, and that's the beauty of it all. Okay, cool. So with that, we are going to get into our 2025 annual planning. Again, for those of you who missed yesterday and actually want to access that replay and go through that process yourself, you can go to yearofreedom.com/thanks. That's going to give you access to the 5-hour, actually it ended up being 6-hour replay. You're also going to get a mailed copy of the Year of Freedom workbook or the Entrepreneur Year Plan. And you'll also get the time management session that I did, the extra time management session that I did for all of those who are VIP. So that is available for you there. Now, of course, where do we get our visioning process from, or what inspires our visioning process? Proverbs 29:18, we covered this yesterday, of people without a vision will perish. Now, what do you notice about this particular scripture? What do you notice about this particular scripture? You notice that it says a people. It doesn't say a person without a vision will perish, right? Because as we described yesterday, a person with a vision really only has a to-do list. If your vision is only about you, it is really only a to-do list. And so this says a people without a vision. And so what we're going to go through today is a process where we as a people, as a community, can come together and actually envision what we want our spiritual life and our spiritual growth to be like in 2025. And so we do not want to perish. We want to thrive. And that's what we're going to be focused on. All right. So as you know, in this space, we did this yesterday. In fact, we spent about an hour and a half getting the soil of our mind ready before we actually did any work yesterday. We spent an hour and a half getting into a meditative state, breaking through the environmental things that keep us away from God, making sure our space was right. Then we got into the emotional things that keep us from God by writing down and clearing our listening. Then we went into the mental things that keep us from God and started to observe our monkey mind, right? And put that monkey in its cage. And then we actually went to complete not complete silence, but we went into a space where we could actually hear God. So there were different layers that we had to get through in our meditation. We did 4 meditations, short meditation, in order to get access to God. So in all of our spaces, we want to hear God. So meditation is really just our process to hear God, to quiet our minds so we can hear God. See, this is not bad in terms of the way many of the churches operate. But many of the churches, I heard one church had like a 90-minute praise and worship and then 30-minute sermon, right? Now, here's the issue with that. Now, David did worship with music, right? That is one way to worship, but with all, and that can get you riled up in an emotional state and things of that nature. But with all of that noise, it really becomes hard to hear God. You may feel a song, and we know that God is source. We know that God is vibration. We know that God is frequency. That's why music is so powerful. And you may get a feeling of God, but we ultimately want to hear God so that we have divine direction about how we should go forth in different decisions that we're making in our lives and how we should navigate our week. And so, what I found to be the most powerful, and I'm saying this to say that we can have both, is I my pendulum goes to the other end and I go to silence. And when we look at Yeshua in the Gospels, Yeshua would go off to the mountains in silence. We only have documentation of Yeshua singing a hymn, and a means one. Right? A means one. And so I find that in silence, I can hear God a lot clearer than with a whole bunch of praise and worship. Of course, God deserves praise and worship, but we have to find the right balance. And so we go into meditation to quiet our minds and hear God. And then we go into prayer, which is us speaking and asking God for direction in a specific area. I was also questioned and challenged about the purpose of prayer. God already knows our needs. And yesterday we reframed prayer in a very powerful way, which was our prayers should never really be just about what our needs are, because God already knows our needs. Our prayers should just be actually our prayers. It's just as easy to pray for everybody to have love, to have healing, to have abundance, as it is to pray for yourself. And when you pray for everyone, guess what? You're also praying for yourself. And so when we come together, when two or more are gathered, right, we know that God is in the midst. And so when we are collectively praying for the collective, when we're praying for the entire body, not just for our particular aspect, I feel that those individual prayers only have individual magnitudes. But when we pray for the collective, when we as individuals are praying for the collective, right, I feel like God hears us more in that way. Not to say that God does not hear your individual prayer, but you actually don't need to pray an individual prayer because God already knows what you need. This is just saying, God, this is where we feel kind of weak. But as Reverend Ike teaches us, let the weak say I'm strong, right? So this is where we're feeling weak spiritually, and this is where we need you to support us. We need divine intervention because our human mind and our human body haven't been enough to overcome this challenge that we currently have. And so we're going to go into meditation. And here in the spiritual experience, I do want meditations to be longer. As we build the community, we will likely start meditation 15 minutes before 11, right? 15 minutes before 11 so that we can enter into the space having fully meditated. But for right now, as we're just in our beginning stages, and I encourage you to meditate every single day. Um, uh, but as we're in our beginning stages, we are just going to do 6 breaths, 10 seconds each. We're going to in heaven for 4 seconds, hold for 2, and exhale for 4. Okay. So if you connect with God or can hear God in a different way, for you, if that's getting up and dancing, if it is going outside and grounding, whatever it is for you, I encourage you to do that. Here, we're going to enter into a space of meditation. All right. So we're going to be meditating for about a minute and 4 seconds in heaven, hold for 2, exhale for 4. All right. And we're going to do that 6 times. All right. So we're going to begin now. In heaven for 4, very slowly, fill up your belly. Hold. 1, 2, exhale. We became living souls when God breathed into our lungs, into our nostrils. In heaven, hold for 2, empty out. In heaven for 4, hold, release. Halfway there. 3 more. In heaven for 4. Hold. Release. Two more. In heaven for 4. Hold. Release. One more. In heaven for 4. Hold. Exhale. Beautiful. All right. So now that we are in a state, my environment feels more peaceful and quiet after that. Do you all get that sense when you are done meditating that your environment, even though it likely hasn't changed, your inner state has changed, therefore your environment feels more peaceful? Do you all get that sense? It just feels quieter. Yes, that's the power of meditation. We're quieting our inside, right? Which then shapes how we perceive our external world. All right. So what I want to do now is I want to invite somebody to come do our Christ-like prayer. This is the prayer that guides the work that we do. I'm going to have Dr. Regina come up. Hold on, participants. Have Dr. Regina come on up with her powerful voice and do our Christ-like prayer. What's going on, Doc? Let's see, she should talking permitted. Dr. Regina, you there? Dr. Regina, you there? We can't hear you. Ask to unmute. There you go. There you go. Can you hear us? Dr. Regina, you there? All right. Let me bring up her husband. Maybe they're at the same computer. Allow to talk. Alvin, can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
There we go. There we go. What's going on, family?
Peace and blessings, family.
Yes, yes.
The Christ-like prayer. We are truth seekers, seeking to become more Christ-like and have the mind of Christ. 1 Corinthians 2:16. As Christ said, if you abide in my word, you are truly my disciples, and you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. John 8:31-32. We believe that when we ask, it shall be given unto us. When we seek, we shall find. And when we knock, the door shall be opened unto us. Matthew 7:7. We know that as we sit in the temple of our minds, listening for your voice and asking questions, in that holy place, we shall find understanding and answers. Luke 2:46-47. For there is nothing covered that shall not be revealed, neither hid that shall not be known. Luke 12:2. We know that because the Bible is heavily coded in allegories, Galatians 4:24, similes, Luke 13, similes, Luke 13:18, and parables, Matthew 13:34. Many who think they are seeing, see not, and hearing they hear not. Neither do they understand, including those who call themselves your disciples. Matthew 13:13. We know to not rely on the letter, but of the spirit of the word. For the letter killeth, but the spirit giveth life. 2 Corinthians 3:6. We are meant to study to show thyself approved unto God, rightly dividing the word of truth. 2 Timothy 2:15. Wash our feet, which represents our understanding, so we may build our church or temple, which is our individual belief system, upon a rock of truth that we are the sons and daughters of God. Matthew 16:16. Amen. May we feel free to renew our minds, Romans 12:2, by destroying and rebuilding our temple over and over and get better and better, leaving no stone standing. Matthew 24:2. We know that when we pray, we shall enter into the closet of our mind, shut the door, and pray to God, which is in secret. Matthew 6:6. And we also know that where two or three are gathered together in your name, I am is in the midst. Matthew 18:20. And that our purpose is to bring the kingdom of heaven on earth. Matthew 6:10. We pray the Bible study blesses, builds, and brings all children of God closer to you, whether inside or outside of a religious context, even if that means wrestling with our concept of God for our blessing like Jacob. Genesis 32. We practice these principles because we know we are called to bear good fruit and do even greater things as part of our spiritual lineage. John 14:12. We love you and thank you all with all of our hearts, minds, and souls. Matthew 22:37. Let those who have ears hear. Ashe, amen, and it is so.
Thank you so much, Dr. Regina.
You're
Appreciate you.
welcome.
Beautiful. All right. Cool. So let's move forward. So I see a lot of familiar names here today. If you are new, please type new in chat. Please type new in chat. We want to welcome you. And we also want to get a feel for who's in the room because we are creating this vision and this spiritual experience is only 1 month old, not even a month old yet. We officially started on December 1st, but this work has been happening for quite some time, starting with Metaphysical Bible Study, which was about 2 years ago. But we want to welcome Nicole. We want to welcome Nicole Williams. Daff, you not new. Get out of here. Mary Brown, Stephen Hazel, welcome. Tony Hall, welcome. Andrea says she's renewed every session. Yes. Albert McWilliams, welcome. Deborah Shafee, welcome. Sharlita Patton, welcome, welcome, welcome. Lee Jackson, welcome. Atiba coming over from Multifamily Movement, welcome. Yes, we welcome you all here and thank you for being part of this very important process that we're going to undergo today. For those of you new, I'll go through this really, really quickly, just so you know who we are. The spiritual experience was created to help the unchurched spiritual folk and Christ-like Christians find fellowship and grow in God. We are not just a church you go to. We are a spiritual community that honors each individual's unique relationship to God and seeks to help people experience God through study, through Bible studies, primarily community service and social spiritual programming. Our purpose is to create a safe, nurturing space for the spiritual exploration and development without judgment, and we all seek to become more Christ-like. So that is the core of why we created this. The unchurched include those who identify as Christian but have left the church for various reasons. Spiritual folks are those who don't identify with any organized religion and are seeking God in alternative ways. And Christ-like Christians are those who identify as Christian but recognize that all Christians aren't the same and are seeking to embody the principles of Christ, that principles Christ teaches in their actual lives. All right. So some of our differentiators are Christ-like versus Christian. Community service is more important to us than church service. Being the church is more important to us than going to church. And daily study, not just Sunday sermons, is important to us as a community. We believe that everybody should read the text, that you are not here to get my Cliff Notes, even though I've read the text and I continue to read the text every single day. You're not here to get my cliff notes. We are here to study to show ourselves approved, and we come together as a study group to do that work. We've created tools to help you on your journey. Some of those tools include the Christ-like curriculum, the divine definitions, the Sons of Solomon Bible study guide for men of God. We have the Sisters in Scriptures workbook, and of course, we have Rich and Righteous. Our structure is to abandon the old one-to-many model, where you have that in higher education or education in general, where you have a preacher preaching to people in pews, and we seek to embody a circular environment. So we believe in circles over pyramids in this particular community. We also are here to create a safe space for spiritual exploration, meaning that there is no one way to get to God. I am the oldest brother of three, and we all have different relationships to our Father, our same earthly Father. And I believe as above, so below. So therefore, we all have different relationships. Now, there are certain practices and principles, without being dogmatic, that we believe help you increase and strengthen your relationship. But as I said before, for some people, meditation looks like being quiet and sitting still. For some people, meditation means actually knitting or actually taking a walk in nature. Meditation comes in many different forms. So meditation is the thing, but there's many different ways to do that in order to strengthen one's relationship with God. In this space, we do not allow convincing, converting, or condemning. We know that based on each person's experience and truth, and what is true to them, that everybody has different perspectives, and that is okay here. That is okay here. We are not dogmatic. We are not religious. We do not challenge you. The goal is not for you to think like me or to think like us. It is about strengthening your relationship with God, however you define that, and knowing that we are all in search of the truth. Together, right? And there's your truth and there is the truth. And we know that ideally, or ultimately, we want those to be one and the same, but we know that just because we have limited human minds, that we cannot fully grasp the mind of God. No individual human mind or religion can fully grasp the mind of God. And so we know that is just something that we are aware of in our journey. All right. And then uh I won't go into this stuff about the Bible right now. But here is what our calendar looks like. So first and third Sundays, we have Christ-like conversations where we do word studies. Again, we've done the Father, what Christ meant by the Father. We know that it's not some big man in the sky. And then if the Father dwells in heaven, we had to then uncover what is heaven. And so we looked at all the scriptures that Christ speaks of heaven, and we try to get the understanding of what heaven really is. Is it a place or is it a state of consciousness, right? And then on second Sundays, we do Wealth in the Word, where I teach from Rich and Righteous some financial principle, which we call that financial spirituality. And then on fourth Sundays, we do men and women studies, which we call Brothers in the Bible and Sisters in the Scripture. Ultimately, as we expand the community, on Thursday nights, we will have Each One Teach One, where people with different gifts in the community actually get on Zoom and they teach the community about that gift. So if somebody knows about nutrition, then they come and they share their wisdom, their godly wisdom about nutrition. If somebody knows about setting up trust, they come and they share their wisdom about trust. If somebody knows about conscious parenting, we have Atiba here who has a nurturology framework for how to consciously parent. Then she comes and teaches in this space, right? And then ultimately, as we build out our communities in various cities, we will have social spiritual programming on first Saturdays. We will have a volunteer project first and fifth Saturdays. Actually, may need to change that. And then social spiritual fun event on the third Saturdays of the month. And there will be leaders in each community that take up that torch. All right. So I've already gone through the Bible studies. This is Christ-like conversations, first and third, Wealth in the Word on second Sundays, and then Brothers in the Bible and Sisters in the Scriptures on fourth Sundays. And so now, before we go into visioning, I actually want to share with you some of the core principles that this whole spiritual experience has been built on. And the question that we want everyone to take into their lives every single day is, how do I experience God today? We know that God is spirit. So we want to be able to, the affirmation that I've been saying as of late is teach me to see God in everyone and in everything. teach me to see God, or help me see God in everyone and everything. I want to experience God in every moment, right? That is truly when you are in the kingdom of heaven, is when you are able to experience God in every moment. But we have to retrain our eyes to be able to see God in every moment and know that God is operating in our lives. There's so many of us who have gone through seasons where we thought God was actually absent when God was there all the time. And in fact, if God had not been there, we would have broken. And so we have to retrain our eyes, and this, by eyes I mean beyond your physical eyes, to be able to see how God is operating in our lives and every given moment. So I want to share with you some of the principles that we have in this spiritual experience. This is the first time many of you are seeing these, and I have deeper definitions. For these things. But I want to, before we get into visioning, I want to you to know and be aware of some of the core seeds at the foundation of the spiritual experience. So the first one is blank of God and God first. What do I mean by blank of God? Blank of God means that we know that God is the source of all. And so everything comes from God, right? We are children of God. We are women of God. We are men of God. We are community of God, right? And so we know that everything comes from God. That's what the blank really represents. And then, therefore, since we know that God is the source of all, then we make sure that we always remember that that is our source. And so we put God first in everything that we do, okay? Christ-like compass. We believe that there's a distinction between Christ-like and Christian. They used to be one and the same, but they are so far apart from each other today. If Christ were to return today in physical form, I think Christ would be appalled with what he sees in the churches, right? So we use Christ as our compass, not just Christian. And so Christ, a Christian is orientation. That's the water baptism. Once you go through water baptism, that's the external baptism. That is orientation. But graduation in many churches, and it's important to celebrate orientation. Welcome. Okay. Your journey has begun, right? But we believe that graduation is actually baptism by fire, and that's what it means to be Christ-like. So once I got into UCLA, right, for undergrad, that was orientation. I'm officially a Bruin, but now I have to elevate to get to graduation. I cannot stay the same person. I cannot stay a freshman, right? I have to elevate, right? And I have to go through a series of things, which is actually the baptism by fire. That is the internal baptism. That is the baptism by fire, and fire purifies and burns away that which is unnecessary. And so that is, and one of the most unnecessary things, especially given where we are in our human journey, is the ego. And we talked about that yesterday during the Year of Freedom life visioning session. So that's baptism by fire. And baptism by fire doesn't just happen like that. Baptism by fire is a journey. It's a consistent journey of purifying your mind, your heart, and your soul. All right. So Christ is our compass. In fact, we don't even say what would Jesus do here. We say what would Christ do? Why? Because Jesus was the Son of Man. Christ is the Son of God, and Christ is in Jesus. Christ is not Jesus's last name. So the more effective question is not what Jesus would do, because what Jesus would do is oftentimes based on what the flesh and the lower self would do. What we're trying to ask is, what would Christ do in this situation in my life, right? So Christ-like is our actual compass. We also lean more towards the gospel of guarantee over the gospel of grace. If you look at Paul's teachings and Yeshua's teachings, Yeshua is gospel of guarantee, meaning that there are things that you must do, right? But Paul teaches the gospel of grace, and that's what many churches teach today. That just get baptized, confess the Lord the Lord is your Savior, and that Christ rose on the third day. That's all you got to do, and everything you've done in the past is all good, and everything you do in the future is all good. But if we look at Yeshua, right? If we look at the red text, it says, "Whoever does the will of my Father," right? That we must bear good fruit in our lives. These are all doings. You must love your neighbor, right? That's not just go get baptized and it's all good. We're supposed to love our neighbor. That is an action. And the reason Christ cursed the fig tree is because the fig tree wasn't bearing any fruit, right? There's a doing that is required on this journey. And that doing is listed in Yeshua's purpose statement in terms of freeing the captives, caring for the poor, etc. Right? So we lean more towards doing Both are necessary. We need grace. We need forgiveness of ourselves. We need forgiveness by other people just to get in the game, right? That is important, but it is not the end of the game. It's just the beginning. Ultimately, as a result, we want to embody these principles. We want to embody these teachings. We want them to actually unfold in our lives on a daily basis. We also want to have the perspective through which we look at our lives through the lens of love, right? We want to look at everything through the lens of love. How does this increase love? How does this bring more love down from heaven onto earth? We also believe in reciprocity in this community where everyone gives and receives. Any community where there are more takers than givers is unsustainable. And so this is why we create opportunities like our community service, like our donations, like Each One Teach One, so that everybody is pouring into the community as well as receiving from the community. That's the only way to create a sustainable community. We also honor each individual's unique path and relationship with God. And so rather than judging people and saying you need to be this way or you're not far enough along your journey and looking down on people and things of that nature, we honor where everyone is. This is why you are able to come as you are. And we honor the path that you're taking. If you decide to go right and I decide to go left, that does not make you wrong. Right. And so here we have a safe space where we're not locked into one way, where we're open to all the ways, knowing that all things are working together for our good and that ultimately we all end up at the same destination. We seek and study, so we don't just come here to get entertained. We don't come here to just get my cliff notes, but that we are all proactively seeking and studying on our own, in addition to joining in on this collective space. We seek to be the church, not to go to church. So we don't see the church as a place that you go to. That's what it's become. But we are literally here to be the church, to be the body of Christ and act as one, act out of selfless motives, not as selfish motives, recognizing that we are all a part of the body. We are all a piece of the puzzle, and we are seeking to be that example here on earth. We believe that the kingdom of heaven is within, as as Christ says in Luke 17:21, that it's not a place that we go to after we die, because if it was a place that we go to after we die, then everybody would be rushing to die, right? So we believe that the kingdom, according to Christ, is actually here and now, and it's actually within us. It's a state of being within us. We also believe in informative goodness, not performative goodness. So there are some people who are seeking to be good as a performance. And if I get enough brownie points, if I get enough happy faces, then God's going to let me into heaven, right? We want goodness to be just our natural nature, and we want to be good just for the sake of being good, not because we get brownie points for it from God, right? So this is informative goodness versus performative goodness. Oh, I'm going to donate because that's going to give me extra points. I'm going to go volunteer because that's going to give me extra points in God's eyes. No, I'm going to donate. I'm going to give. I'm going to volunteer. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that because it's good, not because I'm going to get something from it. Because the true treasure, we know, is not treasure. The true treasure is in our heart, and it's treasure that can't be stolen, can't be taken away. It can't rust, right? We know that is the true treasure, right? Then we believe in circles over pyramids. I already showed you an example of that. If this technology allowed us to, we actually started off in Zoom meetings so that we could all see each other. But Zoom meeting has a cap in terms of numbers, so we had to go back to Zoom webinar. But as you see, I brought up Dr. Regina to actually participate and lead the prayer. This is not just a community about me. This is not a community about me. And ultimately, we will have an offline community rooted here in Atlanta, but also in the different cities that you all live in. Then from there, we will go to, oh, is my screen too small? Hold on. Share. Oh, sorry about that, y'all. My screen too small. Oops. Thank you for letting me know, Andrea. Okay. Next is we believe in building. Next, we believe in building as a verb, not as building as a noun. So this actually goes into being the church as opposed to going to church. We also believe in God hearing over God fearing. This is why we focus on meditation so much here, because we want to hear God so that we actually have divine direction to go forward. We don't want to operate from a place of fear, because you actually don't make good decisions when you're operating from fear. We believe in a loving God. And as for those of us who are parents, we know that being God hearing is actually a higher level of obedience than being God fearing. And then finally, we believe in heart work. Not only is God doing heart surgery on us, right? That is where the true work must occur. But we also want everyone in this community to be doing the work that comes from their heart, meaning walking in their God-given purpose, doing the work that they love. And so that is one of the ultimate goals. Right now, we're in this game of musical chairs where a lot of people are sitting in the wrong seats. People are in jobs that they know that are not aligned with what they were created to do. And so this is why the kingdom of heaven hasn't advanced to earth and hasn't come to earth, is because so many people are not playing their actual part in the body, right? The lung is trying to be the pancreas, and the kidney is trying to be the heart, right? And so we want to make sure that everybody gets in the right seats. And the way you know that is when you're actually doing your inner heart work to develop and purify yourself, but also your outer heart work, which is expressed as your purpose. All right. So these are some of the core principles that we have in the spiritual experience. From a community service standpoint, right now we are focused on health. We deeply care about the physical, mental, and spiritual health of our members and the community at large. Our community service may look like freeing a woman from domestic violence, which we've already done, helping an elder pay for their prescriptions, which we contributed to a nonprofit that does that in Kenya, or paying for a therapist for someone in need. And we've actually had therapists donate their times to people who we've helped. Shelter and food. As you know, we gave out sleeping bags to those here in Atlanta who are enduring cold. We believe in meeting the immediate needs of people with the resources we have. Give us a day our daily bread. Food and shelter are daily needs that many people worry about. And we may help people for a night in a hotel, fill a refrigerator, or feed the homeless. And so about 3 weeks ago, we gave about 20 sleeping bags to those who are homeless in Atlanta. And then education. Education comes in many forms, and information can change someone's situation. We may help a student buy books, help pay for a community college class, give out scholarships, or help someone get a certification so they can earn more money. So these are our core areas when it comes to community service. How we receive donations includes, this is how we've broken it down, but we're open to a new way of doing it. Right now, manna is money we receive that we seek to immediately deploy. Okay. So this is not about, oh, the church's endowment is this big. No, the money is given so that it can actually be used, right? Money is useless unless you use it. This is what we teach in Rich and Righteous. So this is money that we seek to immediately deploy to serve those in need in our core areas of service, which include health, shelter, sustenance, and education. 30% goes to mission. It costs to fulfill a mission. So contributions to our mission cover operational expenses such as team, technology, travel, and supplies. And we don't have a team or anything like that at this moment in time, but ultimately we will need that. And then ministers. We believe that the ministers, for instance, myself and Whitney and other people that we bring in, deserve to be compensated for the spiritual work. We believe that this work has eternal implications for people. And so we believe that that is really, really valuable. So we believe that spiritual work has eternal benefits, and that the laborer is worthy of his wages. So 10% goes to the lead minister, actually 9%, because I automatically tithe off of that. And 10% is set aside for other ministers. So if you were to give $100, that would mean that $20 is going to the minister. 9 of that 100 would be going to me for the time I dedicate to visioning, planning, praying, coaching people, visiting people, doing community service work, and most importantly, not even most importantly, but a bulk of my time goes into studying to prepare these particular teachings for your spiritual growth and development. So this is how we use resources right now in the community. All right. And then we are developing a concept called time tithing, where we actually don't want money to be the root, because sometimes people can give money and then continue to be about their lives. But what we're finding is that the true transformation is when you are actually doing the community service, not just contributing to the community service. Now, financial contribution is helpful, but we actually want to get people in a space of time tithing. Time is your time, and your God-given gifts are the most valuable thing that you have. And if you can contribute those. So for instance, I told you when we helped free a woman from domestic violence, there was a therapist in the community who said, I will contribute a certain number of hours of therapy to help her. That's time tithing. That therapist could be earning money from another client, right? But instead, they decided to tithe some of their gifts to help this particular individual navigate the new life that they were stepping into, and the trauma that they were escaping. So this is what time tithing looks like. And so we're going to build that out. Okay. So I've done enough talking now. I want to now get into the space where we are envisioning 2025 together. And so this is what it looks like if we were actually in person. And I literally have some questions that we are going to explore together. What do you want to learn spiritually? What do you want to study biblically? What kinds of fast or 30-day challenges do you want to do? What kind of community service do you want to do this year? Where would you want to do, where would you want to do an in-person spiritual retreat? How do you see us forming smaller in-person Bible studies in local cities? What would an app look like or do? When would we need a physical space? What would that physical space be like, have, and be used for? What's the vision for men, women, children, and families? How could time tithing work? What would each one teach one topics be? How do we fund and finance this vision and other visions and ideas? And so I want to open up the mic right now. I'm going to open up the mic right now to our first two questions, which are, what do you want to learn spiritually and biblically? So that we get more responses than just the person who is speaking. I would love everyone to type their answers in chat. I will go extract the chat afterwards so that we have that information and can design this spiritual experience to meet your spiritual and biblical needs. And so let's start off with our first question now, which is, what do you want to learn spiritually, and what do you want to study biblically in 2025? What do you want to learn spiritually, and what do you want to study biblically in 2025? Janelle says the book of Revelations. That is one of the most heavily coded books. A lot of numerology in there. Elohim, when was it used in a plural and singular setting? Why was God Elohim and doing a lot of killing in Deuteronomy? Great question. How to hear from God. We went through that process yesterday, but there's always more to know and practices to do. Andrea, the financial church method of metaphysical Bible study and how it relates to the body. Yes, yes, yes. We will get back into that. The power of I am and God in us. Harold, spiritual open to open self and to receive, decreasing my resistance. Letitia, I want to learn and consistently implement spiritual practices. Shirley, the tree of knowledge and the forbidden fruit, Bible's instructions on what to eat and how to fast, Bible's instructions on how to manifest, and the Bible's discussion on universal laws. Shirley, you definitely want to get rich and righteous if you don't have that, because a lot of that is covered there. And I do have some insight on the tree of knowledge and good and evil. Mary, spirituality that empowers and supports me, not alienates me. Yep. And a deeper understanding of self. Trisha, I seek to deepen my understanding of cultivating a Christ consciousness spirit that remains steadfast in all circumstances, whether challenging, joyful, or sorrowful. Additionally, I wish to expand my metaphysical knowledge in the Bible. Yes. Harold, metaphysical understanding of the word. And Amanda from YouTube, how to walk in the spirit, from Bina. And then Atar, I would like to learn how to communicate, listen, and connect with God better. Albert, how to walk with God like Enoch walked with God. And from YouTube, Sean said, I want to learn more about spiritual realm and how it connects with us. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Okay, great. Does anybody want to come on? You can raise your hand if you want to come on and share verbally. learn how to embody love for us both, church and unchurched. Thank you, Lee. Anybody want to share verbally? I'd like to hear some voices. Anybody want to expand on what they typed? Just raise your hand. I'll be able to bring you up. Makita, it's my sis. All right, Makita, you should be good to go.
Grand risings,
What's going on,
everyone.
sister? Why?
I'm well. How are you?
Doing great, doing great. And the little one in the background. Hey there.
Little Leo had to be hurt.
Yes, of course.
Yes, we're doing well. But one
Good.
of the things that I would like to learn spiritually, um, it was kind of hard for me to put into words, but I know like since leaving the church, I started to explore the more spiritual path, and I've seen people go into like the different denominations of African spirituality and Ifa, and certain things didn't always resonate with me. But I didn't want to feel like I was rejecting um, Ifa and things like that if those were truly what I'm supposed to be in, because I'm under this cloak of Christianity and it's saying that these things are wrong. But really learning how to be discerning to figure out like what practices really are for us, and not denying certain practices because of the background of Christianity, but also not going into certain practices that might not truly really be for us. So really learning how to be discerning in what practices are the best for us.
Yeah, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. So the way I think about that is kind of like a diet. Like, how does somebody realize that they're allergic to something? I mean, there are some tests out there, but sometimes you just have to try different things, and then you actually observe how it makes your body feel, and then you actually start to shape your diet accordingly. I know that you are primarily vegetarian, and so you learn that, and you learn that by having exposure to meat, and then making a decision about that. So I think we feel our way into it. For instance, some people in Christianity reject meditation simply because it is a Eastern practice, and it seems to have be rooted in India, when India is primarily Buddhist. And no, if we look at the text, meditate is all throughout the Bible, right? So I think we feel our way in these practices. I ease our way into these practices, even as people are easing their way into meditation. And so I would never go head first into something and just all out. It's like, if something is calling you, then you put a big toe in there, you might put a leg in there, and then if it does not resonate with your spirit, if your spirit doesn't jump like the baby was jumping in your womb when it first came, if your spirit doesn't jump, then it's probably best to step back. And ultimately, what we're seeking to do is not find a way. We're literally trying to create our unique way. I know you and your sisters have different relationships to your parents, in the same way that me and my brothers have different relationships to our father, right? And so we're trying to create and customize our relationship. Meditation is really important in terms of your practice. And so we know that your meditation may be 50% of your practice, whereas for somebody else, it's only 20% of their practice. And their other practice is writing or journaling or poetry or something like that. So that is the ultimate goal of the spiritual experience, is for you to identify the kind of, for lack of a better word, formula that works best for you to feel the closest and most in alignment with God.
Thank you.
Yes, yes. Appreciate you, sis. Cool. All right. Harold, come on up, brother. Let me bring up Harold. Harold, what's going on, brother? You there? Harold, you there?
I'm here. Do you
What's
hear
going on,
me?
brother? Yeah, we can hear you now.
Praise God. I
Yes.
want to share a formula that God gave me. It is
Mhm.
based on Ohm's law. Ohm's law is a formula that electricians use. It
Mhm.
states that current equals energy divided by R. The theological formula that God gave me is that God's blessing is always flowing. It is flowing into the energy cells, which we are. But what holds us back is resistance. And so I'm learning about my own personal resistance. And I'm excited about what you talk about meditation and speaking to God, because I find it helps me to break down my own resistance as I enter into self-discovery. And when that happens, more energy comes into my cell because God's current is continuous. Amen.
Amen. Appreciate you, Harold. Harold is always in the building. We appreciate you, brother. And yes, we some of us rejected STEM, and I wasn't, since STEM was not my strongest area, but there's so much wisdom in there's also been this divide between spirituality and science, but science is really only helping us reveal and start to understand the spiritual realm and how it actually affects the physical realm. And so some of you will be diving back into science and starting to understand how something like Ohm's law actually applies to your spirituality. I think those science is not something to be rejected. It is something that actually can help us understand God at a deeper level. All right, beautiful. So what we're going to do now is we're going to transition into fast or challenges. This is your opportunity to share any ideas that you have around fast that have been beneficial to you. Some people might have done the Daniel fast. Maybe it's not always fasting from food, right? Maybe there's other types of fast. A 90-day abstinence challenge is something that I've done this year with my brothers in my Bible study, in the men's Bible study. So what kind of fast have been beneficial to you? Or that you would like to try to do together in community this year? Our pre-Thanksgiving fast was really, really powerful. We were going to step into this period of gluttony, and we gathered for 3 days, and we fasted for 72 hours prior to Thanksgiving. So, and we focused on gratitude leading up to that. All right. So James says 7 or 3 day fast on coconut water, watermelon water, or spring water every month. Okay. Social media fast. How am I going to reach y'all if we fast now? I hear you on that. We got to stop the scrolling. We got to stop the scrolling. What are some other things that you need to fast from? I think we do a 30-day meditation challenge. Then we do a 30-day meditation challenge. See if you can meditate for, everybody chooses their minutes. Either 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, or you work your way up. You start at 1 minute, then you work your way up to 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes, and see if you can work your way up to a 30-minute meditation. So that would be cool. Quarterly or seasonal fasting from speaking. Yes. I forgot is it not Vipassana? I think there's a type of retreat where it's just a silent retreat. In the East, it has a name, but a silent retreat where we actually stop speaking. Of course, you have to communicate in advance to those who are around you who are affected by your presence. But yes, silence, going into silence. Anybody else? Any other ideas? Yeah, okay, it is Vipassana. Thank you. Trisha participated in my first fast with Whitney and looking forward. Oh yeah. Sisters in the Scriptures, they have a 3-day fast that started last night. You can still jump in. It started at 7 p.m. last night. They are fasting for 3 days up until the new year. So you can jump into that. You can go to, if Whitney is here, she can put that in chat so that you can jump in on that. Okay. Or if anybody from Sisters in Scriptures is here, they can put the link for all the ladies. All the ladies in the place with style and grace. Alex said, a fast you had due at the beginning of November, where you text an accountability partner, was beneficial. Okay, beautiful. Shauna did a 40-day liquid fast. Wow, Shauna. 40-day liquid fast, which was challenging, but so healing. Now I typically do a 1 week water only. I went to Yogaville in Virginia and did a 3-day silent retreat. Okay, Yogaville, that's dope. 3-day fast is in motion. That's Sisters in the Scriptures. 14-day fruit fast. Okay. Is there anything you need to fast from? So a lot of these fasts are around food. Is there anything else you need? We have a fast around speech. Is there anything else you need to fast from? How many you need to abstinence fast? I'm not trying to call you out or nothing like that, but how many you need abstinence fast? Okay, unholy friendships, doubt, TV, social media, YouTube, music. Okay, shopping. Fasting from fear. How can we fast from fear? We'd have to think about that. Not all Netflix is bad. Not all TV is bad. Not all music is bad. All right. Cool. Thank you for that. All right. So next, what I need from you is I need you to put nonprofits. Well, actually, no, we're not going to do nonprofits first. Let's brainstorm ideas of, we have 5 community service days, which are the 5 months where there are 5 Sundays in the month. We have 5 community service days that we need to come up with what we're going to do on a national level in 2025. And so I want to brainstorm ideas around that now. So for instance, maybe we do commit to giving out a certain number of sleeping bags. So what we came to when we did the sleeping bag thing, so many people had food. Like, homeless people need food. So the homeless people actually had too much food from people's Thanksgiving leftovers. They had too much food, and the food was actually spoiling. So we recognized that there was a gap, which was warmth. Even here in the South, we recognized warmth was the gap, right? And so we created bags for about $50 each, which was sleeping bag, socks, hand warmers, gloves, beanie, and water, right? Sleeping bag, of course, being the most costly thing in there. And so that is something that we could do on a national level, right? And we could even do on an individual level if we don't have if you live in a small town and you're the only person that's there, right? So that may be something that we commit to doing every November. Any other ideas of what we can do for community service by city, or individual? Any other ideas? Okay, so how could we support youth? And the only thing about so giving sleeping bags is powerful, but ultimately we know that change and transformation doesn't come from one-time events. And so Trisha mentioned serving the youth. How could we, if youth and education is part of our mission, what kind of things could we or should we do with those youth? Alex says, focus on homelessness, focus on elderly, focus on understanding youth and food insecurity. So yes, we have our community service areas, which are here: health, shelter and food, and education. And so examples, paying for some elderly folks' prescriptions. Education could include youth. Homelessness is here. But it doesn't, shelter and food is not just somebody who's just destitute homeless. We provided and help shelter the person that we helped escape from domestic violence as well, right? So community cleanup, yes, we could do that. Gardening, yes, gardening, environmental initiatives. But I need some more details. I need some more details. You all are giving great topics and areas of concern. But I need a little bit more detail in terms of what we can actually do within that. So Whitney says donate suitcases for foster kids. Okay. Mental health is everything. Okay. How do we activate on that? What does an action look like? If there was a group home for teens that we could work with, okay, and find out what their needs are, summer camps. All right, we're still very broad and vague right now. We can read to sick kids in hospitals, yes. Community arts project, encourage collaborative projects like murals, theater productions, public art installations that allow youth to express themselves. Okay, that's doable. That's doable. All right. Online meeting chats for who, Jody? Youth-led initiatives empower youth by supporting their ideas and giving them leadership roles in organizing arts-related initiatives. Okay, Trisha, we might have to have you lead that. Deliver food to people shut in NYC. Okay, good. Thank you, Daffy. All right. All right. Okay, actually, let me show you. Let me show you what I have. Let me show you what I have here. Okay. So right now, so this is week by week. We are here on December 29th right now. We're here on December 29th doing our 2025 annual planning. You can see it broken out by months. And right now I have our topics for each week laid out here. Based on Christ-like conversation, wealth in the word, Christ-like conversation, brothers and the Bible, sisters in the scriptures. I have ideas for fast here. So some ideas for fast include read a chapter in the Bible a day, meditate daily, all food during 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. What was I thinking there? We were gonna do fast from just one meal a day. I'm gonna call this one meal a day. One meal a day. From 6 p.m. to 9 p.m., one meal a day. So basically that's intermittent fasting, but we could also do no food fast or allow people to choose. Negativity and complaining, TV and music fast, social media fast, meat fast, caffeine fast. How many of y'all are addicted to that caffeine? Or any artificial energy, online shopping fast, sugar and salt, early wake up. That's more of a feed than a fast. That's going to feed your soul. No sex fast, and alcohol fast. Do these sound good? Do these sound good? Those would be good. All of them would challenge us in different ways. Do you believe that we should do them together or allow people to choose what they're going to fast from? Because not everybody has an issue with alcohol, right? Maybe you don't even have an issue with alcohol. It's just like I don't drink alcohol, so that fast in particular wouldn't do anything for me. But maybe I could do sugary juices or something like that. And so if somebody else is doing alcohol, I could do sugary juices, right? So what we're learning about fasting is that when you release something, you typically have to replace it with something positive. So it's not just about withholding from something. It's also about what you're going to fill that space with. It's also about what you're going to fill that space with. And so that's really powerful. So if I stop watching TV or Netflix for a month, what am I going to replace that time with? And that could be reading scripture. So some of the fast can actually, there's a fast and a feed, and sometimes they can go together. All right. All right. So we're about to step into January. Since this is key, being still, type on a scale of 10, a scale of 1 to 10, score your meditation practice right now. On a scale of 1 to 10, score your meditation practice. And if it's non-existent, just put 0, and that's okay. Okay. So that might be the easiest one for us to start with. Since January is right around the corner, that might be our focus for January. And then I definitely want to do the read a chapter a day, in February. And so really it's just about sequencing these. Okay. So in February, I think I want to do read a chapter a day in the Bible. We didn't do anything. We did our we did our pre-Thanksgiving fast. All right, cool. So these are you like these, so we'll work on these. I'm still feeling gray around our days of service. So you see we have one in November. So let's actually let's do sleeping bag, uh, sleeping bag in November. Um, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I need to move this. Need to move this. All right. We need to figure out what we're gonna do in August. August is kind of like what, back to school type stuff. So we need to maybe do something back to school related, or maybe we're like, there's already enough back to school related there. June. What needs to happen in summer, beginning of summer? Beginning of summer, kids are getting out of school. It's warming up, so it's not about warmth. What could happen in June? What kind of day of service in June? So we have maybe the elders. Maybe we need to do something for the elders here. So if I go back to our core areas, health, shelter and food, and education. Health, shelter and food, and education. Health, shelter and food, and education. So Whitney says family days. Okay. So something for the family structure. All right. And then our next one is March. So our first one is actually coming up in March, March 30th. So something health related needs to be here. Health related. So we need to do something health related here for March 30th. Health related March 30th, family related in June, back to school in August, sleeping bags in November. Okay, so some sort of health testing, physicals, etc. All right. All right. So we got our days of service now. We're good there. Actually, so how many is that? Next year, we probably should keep this annual planning session. So then that leaves us with only 4 days of service. But remember, that's our big days of service. Remember, on third Saturdays, we also are encouraging volunteering as one of our social spiritual programming. So it doesn't mean that we only do 4 acts of service throughout the year. On the third Saturdays, there will be community service opportunities in each city as well. And those cities will determine what nonprofit organization they're going to be supporting. Is that cool? So 4 major service days with monthly service days on the third Saturdays as well. Is that cool? Everybody clear? All right, cool. All right. So next question. Where would you want to do an in-person spiritual retreat? Where y'all want to travel to? Y'all want to get out the country? Y'all want to go to Sedona and be amongst the beautiful red rocks there? Is there a place that you've been that has been really beautiful for you? Where would you want to do in-person spiritual retreat so that we bring people from all over together? Ghana. Alex wants to get on a flight and go across the Atlantic. Bahrain, Hawaii, Jamaica. All right. I only see one vote for everything right now. We got Jamaica, Bahrain, Ghana. I see another Ghana, Sedona, Machu Picchu, Egypt. All right, Red Rocks, Tulum. how do you say that? Seychelles, Bali, Jamaica. Okay, another Jamaica. Jamaica's home. It's also close. Some of y'all trying to do multi. Yeah, some of y'all trying to drop 5 G's on a trip. Belize, Egypt, Red Rocks, Belize. All right, so y'all trying to get out the country. I can see y'all trying to get out the country. Yeah, y'all don't want to. Sedona is gonna be the cheapest. Sedona is probably gonna be the cheapest, but right now I'm seeing Sedona, Jamaica, Egypt. Sedona, Jamaica, Egypt, or a cruise. You are out on the sea, but it might be too manufactured. Andrea said Detroit. Better get out of here with that. All right. So we got Sedona, Jamaica, Egypt. All right. Sedona, Jamaica, Egypt. Janine said, I can't do a spiritual retreat in Jamaica. Why not? That's where we going. All right, cool. All right. Thank you for that. How important is it for us to have in-person Bible studies in the various cities? How important is it for us to create? And I would like somebody to come up and speak. Like, would that be we come here on Sundays and then on a Wednesday night at a Starbucks in Detroit or something like that, people get together and they're going through one of the curriculums together, like the Christ-like curriculum. If I go back up to the curriculums here, we have the Christ-like curriculum, Bible study guide on the 12 concepts to become more Christ-like. We have divine definitions. We have the Sons of Solomon, that's for men. We have the Sisters in Scriptures, and then we have Rich and Righteous. Rich and Righteous could be a Bible study, basically. View. Let me see. Harold asked to unmute. Harold, go ahead and share, brother. So what would that look like? Was that like Wednesday night at a Starbucks or Panera in the city, and there's just somebody leading and organizing it? And is it using a curriculum, or is it just everybody coming together?
I think it's using a curriculum because
Okay.
you want to keep a format. You want to keep a sense of unity. And yes, we can go to a Starbucks or something in various different cities, but in the beginning, I'd stay with the curriculum.
Okay. Cool. Janelle says, I think in-person meetings are important to form stronger connection. Okay. So the Christ-like curriculum is 12 concepts. Let me grab it real quick. We got the Christ-like curriculum. Divine definitions, we're kind of going through divine definitions through our Christ-like conversations and our word studies. So the Christ-like curriculum goes through the Father, which we did already, faith, fear, function, flesh, and 5 senses, family, friends, fruit, finances, faulting, forgiveness, being first and following, and fulfillment. So that curriculum is laid out there, and there's questions. So again, it's going through the scriptures that Christ has on those certain things, and then there's discussion questions. So that's already laid out. There's already 12 of those. So that could be monthly. Divine definitions has 30 words. 30 words, and the difference with divine definitions is not just restricted to Christ quotes, right? So there's the top scriptures as well as key questions that are here. And then ultimately you coming up with your own study notes and your new definitions. So some of those words include uh, God our Lord, Jesus Christ, devil, Satan, good, evil, or wicked, heaven, hell, love, righteous, sin, word of God, will of God, kingdom of God, sons of God, Holy Spirit, salvation, eternal life, Jew or Israel, Gentile. So it's really doing word studies on these things. So now that I'm thinking about it, these could be the curriculums. These could be the curriculums. Then Whitney has a curriculum for Sisters in the Scriptures. If there is a woman's only Bible study, so these could be the curriculums that are used in those spaces. We just really would need somebody to take the lead in certain cities and say, look, I'll do that on the second Wednesdays of every
I
month.
will take the lead in Corpus Christi, Texas.
In Corpus Christi, Texas. All right, cool, cool, cool. Thank you, Harold. All
Done
right,
deal.
all right, good, good. All right, beautiful. Um, all right, cool. All of those are on, yes, all of those are on the website. All of those are on the website. Let me see the spiritual
Can I make
experience.com.
a suggestion for the locations?
Yes. Oh,
Yeah,
what's going on? Yes.
the locations could be possibly public libraries. This way it
That's true.
won't be too expensive. It'll be a time restraint, so you only could be there a certain time. And you could also have a limited amount of people or the maximum amount of people, depends on the room space that you reserve and what it's going to cost. So it shouldn't cost that much to rent a space in the public library. And most libraries are pretty much accessible for public transportation or even cars, and they have parking accessibilities.
Yeah,
And
100,
it's also available for handicap. So yeah, public.
100%. Beautiful. Yeah, and with multifamily movement, we have offline component called market meetups, and a lot of them have used libraries as well. So yeah, that's good. Okay, cool. Cool. So that is important to the journey. So we're moving forward. I know I want to get us out of here by one. We'll skip an app for right now. We'll skip physical space for right now, or we have a lot more building to do. I think physical space is going to come when we have about 200 people in Atlanta who are consistently attending the virtual Bible study here. I think that gives us enough momentum and resources to actually step into a physical space here as our hub. So so 200 people just in the Atlanta area would probably mean us having 2,000 people on these Bible studies regularly. So we have a ways to go until we get there. But it's not about size and magnitude. Like Bible, whenever two or more are gathered. So even going back to the in-person city-based Bible studies, it doesn't matter how. It's never about how many people are there, right? And our goal isn't to have the biggest congregation. That's not it's not about numbers for us. It's just about whoever is available and whoever wants to get closer to God. That's who we're here to support. We'll bypass vision for men and women. Whitney already has a beautiful vision for the women. I'm working on the men. Uh, Children and families, we'll hold off on that because right now I know that there aren't many children present right now, but I want there to be. So we got to figure out something for them, and then for those who are either dating seriously and thinking about marriage, and for those who are in marriage. How many people are married here? How many people are married here? Because we want to make sure that those marriages are sustained. And so, given that I'm not married, we're going to need a married couple or two to help lead that space. So Janine is married, Harold is married, Anthony is married. Anybody else? Uh-oh, we just a whole bunch of single people out here. What is going on? Is that everybody? Oh my goodness. Harold, 45 years together. The course, Dr. Regina. Um, all right. Cool. We need some more married folk. Otherwise, we're gonna be out here single. We're gonna start looking like the podcast arena. Single people talking to single people about marriage. That's what we don't want. That's what we don't want. Okay. um, Okay. All right, cool. So, at least I know who's married right now. We want family. Family is the after getting into love of self, the next step to expand that love is family, and then into community, etc. So, marriage is going to be an outcome of the growth in this community, and we are pro marriage and we support marriage. Okay. I'm gonna hold off on time tithing and each one teach one. We're gonna need more scale to get we're gonna need more scale and more growth to get there. Um, and then so part of me wants to just do this ministry out of just pure love and just keep money out of the equation. Part of me wants to just operate like that. Then part of me is like, no, we need resources in order to fulfill this vision. So I'm torn, and I would love to hear what your thoughts are on that. Of the monies that you all donated, I donated the first 10,000 to the ministry, and we've collectively, in fact, I'll show you, because we track the funds, and I'll give you that URL in just a second. We track every single dollar and how it is given. So together we've received $13,000. So we've received $3,260 from contributions. These are all the contributions and who they came from and the dates that they came in. We've given away 2,822 so far. A little bit of money has gone to operation expenses. None has gone to any of the ministers yet. So our current balance right now is $9,679. So this is, and I know Andrea just contributed 25 earlier via Cash App. So I'm gonna do Andrea, and she's contributed multiple times. What is it, the 29th? All right. So this is how we track, and this is what we have right now. I want to just get your thoughts in terms of how money works. The reason I'm doing it like this, because I know that there has been lack of transparency in many religious or spiritual spaces. And so I want you to be able to see how every dollar is being used and spent, and who it comes from. We're working on our nonprofit status. The application is already in so that you can get tax write-offs for these contributions. And then you know exactly where the money is going. So anytime you see the money going out, you see we donated to the Atlanta and homeless. That was the sleeping bags. We donated to the Brooklyn Bank. We donated to Travel Junkie Cares when we went to Kenya. So I want you to see transparently how every dollar is being used. So I'm open to hear just what are people's thoughts about money in ministry? What are people's thoughts about that and how to use it? Anybody? You can just raise your hand. Yes, the paperwork is already in for us to be a 501c3. And the reason I love the model as a church, because church is the most flexible. When I thought about organizational structure, churches are the most flexible organization or entity that is really out there. They can have a school, they can become a bank, they can or have financial services, they can have community service, they can have real estate. Like churches really can be the most flexible kind of entity that is out there. Thank you, Anthony, for your contribution. Anthony just contributed. That wasn't the purpose of me bringing this up, but thank you. So just any thoughts about church? That's Anthony. Any thoughts about money? Anybody raise their hand? Anybody raise their hand? All right. So some people are typing in chat. I like what you're doing. We need resources. Resources are important. So we are more than happy to contribute. But we need resources to fill the journey. Transparency is beautiful. I think that's the best way. I think as people learn about this program, they will get led by the Spirit. I would love to help secure sponsorships. Thank you so much, Alex. Once the 501c3 is finalized, so we can start moving towards grants as opposed to asking you all for money. We can start moving towards grants. Janelle said, I love that you are open about how the finances are being used. It's transparency that's missing from most churches. We need finances to carry out the mission. We just need to keep it transparent. The way you're documenting the process, beautiful, keeps us transparent. We have to fund our values. Oh, thank you for saying that, Wanda. We have to fund our values. We have to fund our values. Trisha says funding for tithing is essential to sustain and expand the mission of spreading the message. Growth is only possible through active community involvement, and effective community organization requires both financial support and resources. All right. The traditional church's building fund is lacking. Okay. So here's what I'm thinking. So at the end of our teachings, I will make one ask. I will keep it time sensitive, like really it's 90 seconds, not harping on it. And when people feel compelled and moved by the Spirit to contribute, they contribute. And we utilize what is given. We never want anybody to give out of guilt or any kind of compulsion. I'm not asking for a tithe. You already know my belief on tithing, that and we've done our study on tithing, that the greatest tithe is really the tithe of our time, of our gifts and talents. So if I get paid to coach and teach people in real estate, who am I helping outside of that? How am I using my gifts and talents right now? This is my tithe. This is my time tithe right now, y'all. This is my time tithe. And it's more than 10% of my time, right? When you put together all of the study and things of that nature. So I'll make one ask at the end of services. Do you believe in monthly giving? Not tithing? I'm not asking you for 10% of anything, unless you feel compelled. But do you believe in monthly kind of subscription type giving? Do you think people should be rewarded for that? Because there's gifts I can give, like I can give workbooks and things of that nature to people who commit to give on a monthly basis, so that we can start to get, from an operational standpoint, we can start to get to a point where, like, we know we have 5,000 a month coming in. Therefore, now we can hire an admin assistant to handle all the minutia that is required to run an organization. Okay, now we know we have 20,000 coming in every single month. Now we believe that that's enough to go get a physical space in Atlanta, but that physical space has to be producing programming and things of that nature. We're not getting a physical space, and it's only used at maximum capacity for 3 hours every single week. So, yes, on monthly, it's a good option to offer. I believe money is important. You're important, and we should be awarded. Okay. Thank you, Brenda. Love the transparency. Okay, cool. So I saw, just off of me sharing this, I saw some gifts come through. You know that from a practice standpoint, we try to give out 1,000 per week. When we were doing metaphysical Bible study, even with fewer people, we were giving out about $1,000 per week. So the goal isn't for us to store up, like, we do need money for operations, but the goal is not for us to store up a big account. This energy is supposed to be moving, and there are people who have immediate needs right now. And so when we were doing metaphysical Bible study, we would take a donation at the end, and we would get nonprofit recommendations, and then we would give that out by the following Tuesday. So literally within 48 to 72 hours, that money was already deployed and given towards a cause that we believed in. Now, of course, not every nonprofit operates efficiently. So some of that money might get tied up in overhead and things of that nature before it actually reaches the service recipient. So ultimately, we want that resource to be able to flow back through us. Sometimes we'll give to nonprofits that are doing work that we believe in, but we want that money to get to the person who needs it faster. Even in metaphysical Bible study, sometimes we would actually give to somebody who was in need in the actual study. Like, somebody says, my lights are getting cut off. How much is your overdue bill? $130. And we would actually send it to them in the moment. Because community service, I want you all to know, community service is not just the community outside. Community service is also us serving each other. Do you understand that? Community service isn't always looking outside and to the people who are in the most need, like the homeless. Sometimes community service is actually right here in this room. All right. And so we have to find out a way to do that in a way that is not ethical is not the word. Because if somebody is behind on their bills and it's not because they lost their job, then we know that they also need rich and righteous, right? And they have to go through that process to develop their wealth consciousness and to develop their budget. So otherwise, you end up pouring money into a black hole, and that person keeps coming back every time their bill is due. So we have to figure out a way to do that. When we did it in metaphysical Bible study, we just did it out of pure trust that this person was being genuine. And we weren't just giving like thousands of dollars. It would be like a light bill or something like that. So we just did it out of faith in that space. But as we scale and are giving out gifts at larger levels or to more people, we got to figure out a process for how to do that. Okay. We got to figure out a process on how to do that. All right. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. All right, we're almost done, family. Each one teach one finances. And so now I just want to, before we close out, I want to open up any other visions or ideas for this community, for the spiritual experience that you would like to see manifested in our vision in 2025. This is a space for anything that we have not covered that you like. This should be part of our experience. And all right, Janelle, go ahead. You can speak now. And thank you. I'm going to save all these chats. I'm going to download them from Zoom. So
Can you hear me?
yeah, we can hear you now.
Oh, okay, great. So one of the things I remember, probably the very first study we did in December, and I remember, you talking about really, for lack of a better word, leveraging the gifts of those who are within the TSC community. And that really made me very excited because a lot of times we might be looking for someone with a particular skill set, like whether it be a lawyer or that person who was the therapist that helped that person that was in a domestic violence situation. And I really think that that's something that we should focus on organizing, however that might look, because there's so much that we have within this community right now to see how we can use that to help each other, but also what that would look like in terms of the work that we're doing to the community outside as well.
100%. I don't want to say I'm one step ahead of you. We on the same page. So I created this survey for you all to fill out because yes, we want to draw from within. I believe that we can create a community where all needs get met from within. Okay. And so I need everybody to go to the link that I just put in chat. It should be working. Let's see. What is going on? What's going on with these links, y'all? Let me see. www. Oh, is it gifts? Gifts. Come on. Sorry about this, y'all. I don't know what's going on with these links. There we go. I'm gonna put this new link in chat. Okay. Fill out this gift form. And this speaks to exactly to what Janelle was talking about. So I want to know your full, I already have your name and email, but it needs to tie into your account, right? Or to the CRM. So your full name, your email address that you always use, your phone number, your nearest major city, your state name, your gifts, talents, strengths, and skills that you can contribute, your spiritual growth challenges, and questions. All right. So I need everybody to take about 2 minutes to fill that out. And that's going to allow me to know what are the gifts that are already in the room. And we actually create our solutions. We create our community service projects. We create them out of the gifts that are already here, right? And this also allows me to see where we are starting to aggregate people, what cities have the most people. Because initially, I only asked for your name and your email address and phone number. But this allows me to see where's your nearest major city, not the city that you live in. So if you're 30 minutes outside of Detroit, but you know that Detroit is actually like your nearest major city, it allows us to start to see where we are collectively around the country. All right. So fill out that form for me, and I'll study those things. I'll aggregate that information this week and start to see what we have in the room. So, as Janelle said, your gifts include what profession you're in, skill sets that you have, things that you could teach on. Some of just your strengths. You're good at graphic design, organizing information, planning events. Like all of those are your gifts, right? And then your spiritual growth, desires, your challenges and questions, so that I can support you and design our teachings according to those. I dropped the link again. All right. I'm dropping it again now. Thank you for that. And for those who are on YouTube, here's the link on YouTube. And I'll be sharing this slide every week as we get people in here. You know, a lot of folks were with us on yesterday. I think people are tired because we did some deep work today, but some of y'all still woke up and was here today. But normally we have around, right now, when we're doing our word studies, our Bible studies, we're having around 150 to 200 people. Today is a little bit smaller with the holidays and all the work we did yesterday. It won't let you type in your state name. The state name should be a pull down menu. Let me see. State name should be a pull down menu. Let's see. Yeah, state name is a pull down menu. So you don't type in state name. Click on the arrow. And then let's see, when you don't do that, if you type in California, yeah, it should come in. California, is that it? Yes, yesterday's event is recorded, but it's so ATAR saying it won't allow you either. ATAR, try a different browser. And yesterday's recording is available, but it was only available for VIP. So that was yearofreedom.com. Thanks. And that will get you yesterday's recording, the additional bonus time management session that I did for VIP, and you'll get a mailed copy of the Entrepreneur Plan or the Year of Freedom. So that's yesterday's recording. Amanda just put actually, Amanda, that only went to me as the host. That make sure you sending that to everyone. It won't allow you either to. Is everybody having issues with the state? Has anybody been able to get past the state field? Because if not, I'm gonna have to go delete it.
My goodness. Are you okay? Yeah.
Is the state field working? It worked for me. Okay. Okay. For I think Herald and ATAR, you might have to try a different browser or something, but it looks like it worked for other people. Should be either pull down or start typing your state and then select one. Thank you, Atiba. So I'm going to look at all the gifts and talents and skills that we have and go from there. All right. Thank you, Lester. All right. All right. So in case you didn't see the work that we did with the sleeping bags, well, here are the here's some photos from that day. We met some amazing people. It was about 5 of us who went out there and distributed 20 bags to the folks that were out there. And you know, Clark, yeah, where's Clark? Is Clark in this photo? Yeah, that's Whitney talking to Clark right there. What I learned from Whitney was that it's not just about us just handing out sleeping bags and food to people and not actually connecting with them. You see me talk. I forgot this older man's name. But what I noticed about Whitney, she remembered she was down. One, she came down to their level because most of them were laying on the ground or sitting down, and she remembered each one of their names, and she inquired about their stories. And that's what true community service is about. It's not just about handing out toys and handing out turkeys and handing out a sleeping bag and say, oh yeah, we gave out 20 sleeping bags today. No, did you actually, that is a level of love to provide for the need, but that's like a parent who is just only a provider. The true level of community service is reminding that person of their humanity. It is reminding that person of their humanity, that somebody sees them, notices them, and cares about them. And it's not just checking off a box to fulfill some level of guilt that they have for having more than them. And so when we design our community service projects and we have our community service days on the third Saturdays, this is the type of engagement that we want to design into the experience. Because it's not just when you operate at that level that Whitney demonstrated, you also get served. You also learn. You are also moved by spirit when you serve in that way. It's not a box to check off. And so I just want us to remember that as a principle when we are engaging in and designing our community service experiences. Okay? So this was us about a month ago now. Here is some of the work that we did in Kenya. So not only did we give money to Travel Junkie Cares, we were out there, we gave $1,000 as the church, as the spiritual experience. And you see these bags that the women have on their heads, that's $50 worth of groceries. And then we also got them medication. So $50 covered their groceries and medication for a month. So we supported about 20 families with our contribution. So this is what we want our work to look like. We went out there, we did a Bible study for a women's group. Somebody found Whitney on Instagram because she said she was coming out to Kenya. This dude traveled 4 hours and got all these women, all these women to show up for a Bible study in Kibera. No, this is not in Kibera. This was in Nairobi. So like, this is what the work is really going to look like. Part of the work is going to be on this computer and us using this technology, but we know that we are here to be the church, not to go to church. So part of the work is us studying together. Part of the work is us doing these collective things together. But the real work is how we show up in this spirit and in this energy in our everyday lives. It's not just about Sunday. It's not just about Bible study. It's about, if Bible study is 2 hours, how are you showing up in the other 166 hours in your week? That's where the real test of our Christ-likeness is. That's the true test. This is just like a pit stop. This is more like a pit stop to remind us of what it means to be Christ-like, so that when we go back out into our lives, we operate from that level where Christ is our compass in our everyday decision-making. Is this making sense? Is this making sense? All right. So, Yeshua always speaks to small things: mustard seed, a pearl, 2 coins, 2 fish and 5 loaves. Right now, we are a small community, but what we know from Yeshua's teaching, from Christ's teaching, is that small things can have huge impacts. The mustard seed can grow into a plant that supports in the nest of birds. An apple seed can grow into an orchard. And so that is the expansive nature of Christ consciousness. It expands good wherever it goes. So the numbers of people here on Zoom and on YouTube and in our community, that's irrelevant. We don't look at the numbers. We look at the substance of the goodness, of the righteousness, of the hearts of the people that are here. And we know that when we create avenues for that love to be unleashed, that's what it means to live a Christ-like life, is where we expand good, where we expand love, wherever we are and wherever we go. All right? Yes, quoting Jay-Z, they said, less is more, it's plenty of us. It's plenty of us, all right? So I know some of you already gave, and if you feel inclined to give, if Spirit leads you to give, these are the various ways. You can go to thespiritualexperience.com/give, or you can use your phone and use any of these QR codes as well. And with that, I want to wish you a happy, happy new year as we turn the corner. We are going to have our Christ-like conversation next Sunday. We did heaven, and kingdom is very similar to heaven. Do you still want to do kingdom, or do you want to do sin, or do you want to do kingdom, sin, or hell next Christ-like conversation? Kingdom, sin, or hell? Which word study do you want to do? All right, the votes are in. Now, Christ actually doesn't speak about hell that much, honestly. Christ does not speak about hell that much. So I'm seeing more kingdom votes coming in. All right, so I'll pray on it. I'll pray on it. I've been working on kingdom already, but okay, I'm seeing more kingdom than anything. So what I've been working on already is looking at the parables. Jesus has 14 parables, I think, about the kingdom. The kingdom is like. So I think we will use those to try to uncover what the kingdom really is. So I think so it's the kingdom of heaven. So heaven is what we've already discussed. The kingdom is how it operates. So the difference between the kingdom of heaven, just like I say, if I'm a citizen of United States is bigger, right? So heaven is what we've already uncovered. The kingdom is how heaven operates. And so that's what we're going to be looking for in our Christ-like conversation next Sunday. All right. So I wish you all a very, very happy new year. I will see you. Thank you for being part of this visioning process. And we will look to make sure that everything that we came up with today manifests and unfolds in 2025. Love you with all my heart, mind, and soul. Wish you all a happy new year, and I'll see you next week. All right. Much love, everybody. Peace.